Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. The Premier League is about to start back up. The international break is still on. Have you been excited? Maybe a little bit. I'm an Ireland fan, and you know what? We actually had a good game against Hungary. I was happy, but there's still a lot to talk about in the Premier League, so that's what we're going to talk about today. Let's get into it. The breakdown. What is going on right now? Obviously, the huge talking point today is Man City settle with the Premier League. Is it fair that they have done that? Let me know in the comments what you think before we get into it. We're going to talk a little bit about it, and I have a video to show you as well. Wirtz shines for Germany. Does that bring added pressure? And let's talk a little bit about some of the comments that have been made during the week. I am curious to hear your thoughts on that too. Isak not fit to start. He didn't start for Sweden. What does that mean coming into the game against Burnley? And then we have Everton the following week. What does that mean for Liverpool? And then Guehi and Konate contract update. More news coming out today about that situation. So let's get into it. Man City against the Premier League. If you're new to the channel, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. Really do appreciate it. Let's get into it.
Hi there, welcome back. We've got some breaking news reaching us. Manchester City and the...
So this is Sky Sports. They're talking about the breakdown of what's going on right now, because it is important to understand the context. It's a complex issue. Let's have a look.
Premier League have settled a dispute relating to the league's associated party transaction rules. So I've got Chief Correspondent Kaveh Solokol to join me on set to explain this. Kaveh, what has happened?
I mean, this is one of the most complicated stories I think we've covered here on Sky Sports News.
That's why we've got you on.
But basically, what has happened this afternoon is that at the same time, the Premier League and Manchester City have both announced that they have agreed a settlement over the Premier League's associated party transaction rules.
So it's important to know this is not to do with the 115 charges. Remember that.
Now, under the settlement, Manchester City accept that the current associated party transaction rules are valid and binding. Of course, this is a really complicated story. I don't know how much time you've got.
Break it down for us, brother.
It all started around the time of Newcastle United's takeover by the Saudi Arabian Sovereign Wealth Fund. What happened is around that time, the other Premier League clubs were concerned that these new investors in Newcastle United were going to do lots of associated party transaction rules.
I mean, it makes sense. You have all these Saudi Arabian clubs or Saudi Arabians coming in and investing all the money. They have unlimited funds. They could just go say, here's £1 billion for a sponsorship. So it does make sense that the Premier League were worried.
Deals. That means doing deals with companies that are linked to your owners. So these APT rules were tightened up. And then Manchester City tried to do some new commercial deals with, I think, Etihad Airways and also a bank in Abu Dhabi. Now, these deals were blocked by the Premier League under their APT rules. Now, Manchester City didn't take no for an answer. They challenged those rules, and they won some very significant legal victories, because I remember last year one tribunal found, for instance, that aspects of the rules were unlawful. And Manchester City at the time saw this as a big legal victory. And then what the Premier League did is they went away and they amended their rules. They changed them in the way that the tribunal has suggested the rules were unlawful.
So that's important. The Premier League, they went to a tribunal. They said, the tribunal said that it was unlawful. So the Premier League had to go and change the rules. So that's what's happening right now. And what my context of whether it is, and we're going to take a look at some of the feedback some of the people are obviously saying about it. But basically, Man City said that they can go out and they should be allowed to obviously bring in specific sponsorships. It doesn't matter where it's from. But the thing is with this deal as well is it comes down to fair value. That's what I talk about, fair value. Like Man City can't go out tomorrow and say to Etihad, give us 3 billion and that counts as a sponsorship, because the value is not there. And this is why I think this has been settled outside. They're going to be able to bring in their Etihad sponsorship now. It won't be for $1 billion, $2 billion, but it'll be evaluated by the Premier League, and that's something that they're going to have to just deal with. But it is completely separate to the 115 financial rules. But for Man City, it is a major win, if you would say, in some aspects, because obviously that could maybe give them a little bit of hope that they can go on and potentially like get through the 115 charges, which are obviously against them right now at the minute. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. But it's nothing to do with the 115 charges, and it's something slightly different, but maybe a small win that could lead to a bigger victory down the line for Man City. But I wanted to talk about a little bit about Goldberg was having a chat about it. Let me just get it up here. So yeah, what Goldberg said: Man City dropping their case against the Premier League in relation to associated parties rules doesn't bode well for the 115 case. Why would Man City concede that if there wasn't something coming their way in return? So I think this is what a lot of people are thinking. They're saying they wouldn't concede so easily if they didn't feel like there was a potential upside for them down the line. And it is probably right to think it that way. The one thing I would say about the Premier League 115 charges is it's very difficult to prove everything that they're proving. Like Man City haven't cooperated, and I think it's going to go the way a lot of people will think it's going to go. They're probably going to settle somehow. Man City will get a slap on the wrist. It'll be a fine. They're not going to get any big points deductions, and that's just the way it's going to go. And maybe this case is a small win in a bigger step, as I've said. But let me know what you think in the comments. Moving on then. Some good news from Liverpool's perspective, and that is the case of Florian Wirtz. So he had a good game yesterday for Germany. He got man of the match. I watched the game. I didn't actually think he was particularly that good, but I just want to bring yourself to these comments here. Should Liverpool fans expect more from Florian Wirtz right now? And this is on DR Sports, and they were talking about his work rate. And the comment was, is that what you paid £160 million for, to cover shades of grass? Is he a lawnmower? Now, I think that's a bit silly to suggest. And I think the whole thing about Wirtz, that maybe he hasn't performed the first 3 games. Lads, it's 3 games at the end of the day. It does not matter how he's performing in a new league at this stage. We obviously wanted to perform well, and he has shown glimpses of it. But at the end of the day, the main thing is that he's settling in right. He's getting his footing in the right place. And then potentially we're going to see the best of him in maybe like later on in the season. But yeah, he did have a better game against Germany. I don't know if any of you watched it, but this were some of the stats. So Florian Wirtz for Germany versus Northern Ireland. Most ground duels 1, 7, most fouls 1, 4, most chances created 3, most shots 2, most shots on target 2. That was against a poor Northern Ireland side. And then he obviously got the free kick as well. So some positive signs. I think the player, the quality that you're going to get, and the price tag for what he's coming in for, the expectation is just going to be so big on him consistently. And I just think that's something that he's going to have to deal with. It doesn't matter whether he's like had an okay game, especially when it comes down to a lot of Premier League fans. They look at GA a lot of the time. And if he doesn't have a good GA, then you kind of, they just say he had a bad game. I thought yesterday he was more improved for Germany, and I think he does have a little bit more of a structured role in this German team. But sometimes it's similar to what we're seeing by Liverpool, just getting into good positions, giving the ball away, making maybe the wrong choice. But overall, I think some positives to take from that game. And I think he's only going to get better, lads. He's only going to get better. Don't be listening to all these fans saying that, he's nowhere near the level that Liverpool paid for him. He's going to be a failure, a flop, whatever it is. Give him time. Give him time. Going on then. Alexander Isak. So Alexander Isak with the Swedish national team this week, obviously on international duty. He hasn't trained. This is what the Swedish coach has said. He hasn't trained well, and he hasn't played matches in the preseason, and he's not ready to play full matches yet. And he didn't get on in Sweden's first international friendly. So I think this is probably not a concern, but the one thing I think Liverpool fans have to be a little bit patient with. Isak, the likelihood is he's not going to start against Burnley. Would he be even in the match squad? I don't think so. He could potentially be on the bench. If we need him, he can kind of come off. But Liverpool right now, we're in a good position. We don't need to bring him back. The next game I'll be looking at is the derby, Everton at home. That's the one I would be thinking of potentially getting a match fit for. So if we can maybe have a few games behind closed doors, maybe some of the youth setups, that type of game, that's when he'll get a little bit more match fitness. But I think right now, Liverpool don't need to risk him, and I wouldn't maybe be throwing him straight in against Burnley. It's almost cruel. The saga we've had all summer, and he's now obviously been purchased for 125 million. We go on international break, and then we're likely not going to see him against Burnley. But let me know what you think. Do you think we should be bringing him straight back in? Should he be starting against Burnley? Should he be on the bench? Or should we maybe rest him and then have him ready for the derby? I think the derby is probably the most realistic right now, to be honest. And then finally, some big updates on Marc Guehi and Konate. So Liverpool reports coming out yesterday that Guehi was obviously frustrated that the deal fell through to Liverpool, but Liverpool are not going to go back in for him in January, and they're going to wait until summer to be able to get him on a free transfer. On the other side of that, Konate is potentially moving closer to going to Real Madrid, and the talks are escalating a little bit quicker. And the likelihood is from Paul, this is both from Paul Joyce, that he will be moving to Real Madrid at the end of next summer. I don't think it's something Liverpool fans are too, I wouldn't say worried about, but maybe a little bit frustrated. I think Konate has been a great servant to the club, and he's definitely a great centre-back, and I would love it for him to stay. But if Liverpool can't get him to agree to the terms that they want, and they're not going to be pushed to, or pressured to keep any player to stay that doesn't want to stay. So I think what the likely option is that Guehi's going to come in on a free, Konate's going to come in on a free. Like, realistically, it's a win-win for both parties in a small sense. And Real Madrid get another free person coming into their club. Fuck's sake. Like, can they just stop with it right now? Like, but that's it for now. I'm going to try to do a few more of these videos where I kind of just talk about what's going on. I'm trying to get like a different setup, trying to make you enjoy the content a little bit more and keep us around. So if you've watched this far, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. Really do appreciate it. And yeah, I'll chat to you all on the next one. Cheers, guys.